what I want to do is billion-dollar games now.
Okay.
So my mind is 100% of the time dedicated to finding a way to make that happen. And that's why we actually, we are very happy to work with Rovio, because we are in a very unique situation. We have the expertise on Luck Battle. We know to make games that are like hugely successful, because we simply read, the market. I've been doing that for 25 years. It's just part of my life. And we have the biggest mobile IP.
It's 4 a.m. and we're rolling the dice. Matei drops knowledge made of golden eyes. Felix with ads making those coins rise. Jack up designs, worlds chasing the sky. We're the 2.5 gamers, the midnight crew. Talking UA adverts and game design too. Matei, Felix, Shaka bringing the insight. We're rocking those vibes till the early daylight. Matei, UA, master eyes on the prize. Tracking data through the cyberspace skies. Felix stacks dollars like a wizard in disguise. Jacob's crafter realms lift us to the highs. 2.5 gamers talking smack. Slow hockey stick, got your back. Ads are beautiful, they light the way. Click it fast, don't delay.
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hello, everybody. Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is another super special, super rare episode. I mean, well, we have guests, so I guess this is very, very rare. And it's going to be a live review of a game that we uncovered on the soft launch Sonar in our previous episode. So, hello, everybody. Again, my name is Matej Lančarič.
I'm Felix Broberg.
And I'm Jakub Remer.
We are your hosts, and we have two special guests, as I've said. We have Luis and Stan. Guys, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourselves, if you can.
Sure. Thanks, Matej, Felix, and Jakub for having us. My name is Luis. Luis Camera, VP Global Marketing at Rovio. I run marketing for Rovio. I've been here now for about 4.5 years. Previously, ex-Scopely, ex-King, ex-Gameloft, ex-2K. So I've been around 20 years in gaming. I've seen it all from AAA to mobile free-to-play. Been in mobile free-to-play specifically since 2013. AAA console before that. Based out of Spain, but globally traveling, see a lot of people from this industry at different conferences. And so, hey, maybe Stan, you're next.
Thank you. So I'm Stan de Wavrin. I'm the CEO of OBB. I used to work for Gameloft for 11 years. I am the creator of the Asphalt franchise, which is I hope everyone knows about it by now. And I'm also like the creative director on Angry Bird Rush. So I'm a designer, coder. I do a lot of stuff actually, and I'm very happy to be amongst you, because we are actually the team. I've seen your video, and we have seen it a lot of time. And when we saw your comments on your emotion, we were telling to ourselves like, "Wow, this guy got it very right," and we were like super happy to be invited to discuss with you.
Nice, because we were like, oh my god, like mind blown. Like this is gonna be such a great combination of stuff. Because
very excited.
Yes, very excited. So thanks for coming on the podcast. And as you said, like we're going to talk about Angry Birds Rush. So Jakub, please, if you can share the screen, because I think the last time we only were talking about it like through the video, but now we have the game.
The screen this way.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So here we are. It took just, I guess, few months from soft launch Sonar that we are actually here live reviewing it.
Yeah,
I think it was
check.
the last one. Anyway, so as we said on the Sonar, we think that this is one of the most promising Rovio games in the portfolio. That's why we're reviewing it. And it's a special combination because it's more than meets the eye, basically. Because on the surface of it, and again, we can get to it, it looks kind of easy and actually very kind of runner-up, where we have this, straight into the jackpots. There we go.
Hey!
Where we have this kind of
surprise.
Yeah, something like a runner, or pretty much like very easy, casual experience of Angry Birds being thrown around and getting coins. And yeah, let's maybe do like a more normal run. The important part that there's actual control here, that I can steer the bird left to right, and there are actual obstacles, as you see
Which
there.
is really hard, by the way.
Which is really hard, and we'll get to that point. But as you see here, like I'm collecting coins, I'm going around and stuff like that. So what's actually happening with all those coins? And if we move further, here's the answer. It's our typical kind of coin looter meta, which is typical for something like Monopoly Go or Coinmaster, where we are actually upgrading things, which I cannot upgrade because it's too damn high currently. But yeah, if I would
There is a
upgrade
cheat
this
code.
village,
Yeah,
what?
there is a cheat code on this version. You can click on the coins on the top.
Oh, really?
Yeah, click on this. Just yeah, click. It doesn't
No.
work.
Doesn't work.
Okay, so
Live, everybody.
I
Okay,
wish my
thank you very
bank
much for
accounts
listening.
worked like that.
I also wish my bank account worked like. Anyway, so I guess this is the typical like upgrade path of like the coin looter meta, which is very, very good and is extremely good LTV engine because there's not that many on the market. So there's pretty much the whole kind of point of this, where there's this very, very interesting combination, because that's what's happening on the current market, whereas coin looters are entering their, I would say, third or fourth generation of, let's say, evolution. I guess we'll get to that later. But again, the important part is that this is now Angry Birds franchise doing the heavy lifting, I guess, on the front end, and then the coin looter at the back end. So I guess we can again move to the questions and give a little bit more space to someone else than me, as usual, just talking product all this time. So Stan, if you can begin here and just, I guess, do a little bit of intro how you come up with this and
Yeah.
where this kind of started from.
It's coming from, yeah.
yeah. So thank you, Jakob. It came actually from a distant past. I think like 5 years ago, I was very much a big player of Coinmaster, and it seemed very odd because I mean, a lot of people from the industry look at this game with a done eye at that time, but I was absolutely hooked on it. I was like a big spender. I had like something like 12,000 stars on Coinmaster, and I was playing every day. I feel like the format was actually very interesting because the ratio between effort and pleasure and dopamine was actually very, very high. And this type of game was actually a very good fit with my life. I was looking at Netflix or YouTube at the same time, and I could play this game. And actually, I was very, very, very hooked. So at that time, we were working on another game in the company, which was called First Frag, and it was like one of our biggest success. But I told to myself, like, there is some beauty in this type of game. They were not called Luck Battle at that time. There was no real name. We just, I mean, we called them like Coinmaster or whatever, but there was not
Coinmaster-ish.
yeah,
Coinmaster-ish.
there was no jar for that. And by that time, we told to ourselves, like, there is probably something to be done here because this jar is going to evolve. It's very pure in terms of mechanics, but the slot machine and visual, it's probably going to be a limiting factor for the audience. As everybody knows, casino game has like huge CPI, so it was not a play we were interested in. So internally, I think 3 or 4 years ago, we created a game which was called Go Magnet. And for us, it was like a new generation of luck battle. And the idea was we wanted to create a new gameplay which was based on bubble and merge and not inspired directly from, like traditional casino game and bring a little bit of, added value to the concept. It was, in our head, it was probably like a generation 3 luck battle because other guys was already trying to do something with that. During the soft launch of this game, we were actually at the same time as Monopoly Go, and we were talking with the team of Monopoly Go at that time. They had a way better success than we did, obviously.
It took them a long time, that needs to be said.
Actually, yeah, and that game is absolutely amazing. And I know actually the guy from Rovio for a long time. I know Luis, of course, from the Game Loft period, but I also know Alex Peltier-Normand, the CEO of Rovio, and Ben Mates, which is the Mr. Angry Birds. And actually, they came at us because they saw what we did for Go Magnet, and they told us like we will be very interested in having you creating something very creative with the brand. They didn't want to be doing something which was derivative, like a very standard type of let's say, a board game or casino game. They wanted us to reach the same level of creativity we had on Gogo Magnet, but for the birds. So for us, it was like super interesting because for one, in the history of the company, we don't do derivative game. We are always trying to push forward, like game design. I feel the world is just a trajectory, If you want to fail, you just copy a static point in time. But if you want to succeed, you look where the trajectory is going and you try to be a little bit ahead. Sometimes it looks a little bit risky. People feel like, wow, what are you trying to achieve right there? Because I cannot compare what you're trying to do with something that exists. But at the same time, if you copy something, you are guaranteed to fail. So I rather take the risk of like pushing the design forward than just trying to do something which already exists and has like a low probability of success overall. So that was the story, and then we make actually 6 prototypes before we selected this one.
Yeah, just on our end, very quickly on the Rovio side, like we had so myself and Timo, VP of strategy, were looking at different genres and kind of where should we, from a new game pipeline standpoint, what kind of strategic bets should we take? And clearly the luck battle genre has been fascinating. It kind of similar. It's kind of following a similar trajectory that Match 3 did in the past, right? Which is, it just keeps growing and growing as a genre. And we know that from an Angry Birds perspective, that having an IP, generally speaking, having an IP really helps you both in terms of marketability, but also in terms of engagement, retention, and things like that. And so, for us thinking like, hey, is there a world in which we can merge our IP with the luck battle genre? And then if we do, how do we actually build that when we don't have the knowledge or the capacity internally? So that was also a moment where we're starting to pivot to say, hey, do we really need to build everything in-house? Can we actually find strategic partners to team up with who do have expertise? And, to Stan's point earlier, Alex, our CEO, Ben, the Angry Birds creative officer, myself, Mehdi, who's the VP of New Games, we all have a Gameloft background. And so like we knew Stan quite well and the pedigree of OBB, but they're also kind of smaller and scrappy and very ambitious. So like it was very interesting to see that like there's a possibility here, and they really understood what we were looking for. So it was great to team up with them.
Nice, because I just checked. We talked about this end of September as like it's in soft launch, and now we're here, and I mean it's quite fast forward where we are here.
We haven't even gone to soft launch yet in the way
exactly.
At least what Rovio calls soft launch. What you saw are marketability tests.
Yeah. Okay.
And early early engagement metric tests with a prototype that wasn't even, which is like a fake prototype because it's built off a different, actually maybe Stan, you want to talk about that? Like it's how we approach that.
The game you are playing, it's actually not the real game. This is a mod above Gogo Magnet. So basically we reuse like all the technical aspect of Gogo Magnet and we build this game on top. But there is another project, which is actually the real game, which is actually much more advanced in terms of technical features. It's too early to show you today. But the whole thing you see right there, it's just the prototype.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's great because
That's quite interesting.
Exactly. It's like,
and this is one of the reasons why we wanted to work with Stan and his team is, how fast and scrappy they are. And that's something that we value a ton as we look for new partners.
Because I mean, it makes all the sense. Like, why would you reinvent the wheel when you already have all the technical aspects of the previous game and you just build this on top of it? Perfect. We didn't know we don't have the new game. That's
It's a bit early, but the gameplay capacity has increased a lot. There is like a ton of cool stuff, and we don't want to. I mean, all the A/B tests we are doing on the prototype right now, but the other project is more like the sustainable version of the game with all the technical aspect being done properly.
Mm-hmm.
Here, for the prototype, we are just like we go for velocity. We have to make shit happen or stuff happen very fast in any way possible, and it's the bottom line. On the other project, it's more like everything we build has to be scalable, it has to work, it has to operate at scale, and it has to be like 0 bugs, 0 defaults. But the velocity, of course, of this type of production is not the same pace.
Okay. Maybe if I can a little bit more again get back to the product itself, because again run out of energy, literally.
I mean,
The thing that I wanted to mention is that one of the big differentiators for this game
I'm
compared
playing
to
since we started again, and I'm like level 42. And honestly, I keep getting free energy.
free energy. Okay,
Yeah,
I guess
all
I'll
the time.
get the offer
So,
anyway.
I mean,
What I wanted to say is that again, we'll get to the, I guess, overall convoluted market situation later. But again, if you've been following our channel, we'll review like a lot of games lately, and like this kind of bait and switch, fake ads, fake onboarding thing, which is coming from Forex, is going there. That's again what this game is doing.
what is fake, man? Like seriously,
We'll get to it. I guess
what is
I
fake?
said
Like,
we'll
this
get
is not
to
even
it. Real
fake.
marketing part, no worries. But again, the big difference here is that lots of these games, they have very easy, let's say, onboardings. As for, there's not even like negative emotions or stuff that like you can affect. Pretty much is more automatic. Whereas here, when I actually sling the bird, I can steer it, but I can also hit an obstacle, which actually gives you 0. Even if you collected any money, you get back to 0 pretty much. So one question is like, how did you approach this kind of, let's say, player input thing? Because like yours, this is essentially like the slot machine that's being masked within the runner style visual, the negative emotion that's being done by the player skill cap. And then the other question after that, when and how did you set up the assist feature, which is, by the way, better than me as I'm playing this.
Obviously, that's how I progressed like so fast in last couple of days.
Because it's quite hard at some point to steer the bird.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a big one actually, because it's let's say it's the core of the risk we are taking, because what we believe is like battle genre is evolving, and part of this evolution is of course lowering the CPI through more engaging visuals, but also more engaging gameplay actually. If you look at Animal Coins or Tetris Block Party, you can see the trend. You know, like they are trying to introduce a little bit of skill, because actually people love skill. People love games. But after some times, it can be, like a little bit too demanding for your life, and you are very happy to have an automatized gameplay. For this type of game, in the end, people are playing like 80% to maybe even 90% in automatic mode, because it's just like, like a companion to the life. But we believe like the hook was just much more powerful if you had a little bit of control. Then it's a matter of mathematics. In our situation, we have like two big change. One is the length of the session, because in a traditional luck battle game, the spin only lasts for 4 seconds maximum. So here we have like maybe 20-second spin, which create like some kind of necessity to rebuild the whole economy around that concept. And the other issue is like there's a big variation of outcome. When you do a spin, you don't have like a deterministic outcome. You have a multiple possibility in terms of economy and in terms of balancing, so it's totally different. Most of the time, I think like this is a very big change. A lot of people simply will not want to tackle this type of stuff, and rather, like copy. There is like tons of readily of copy of Monopoly Go or Coinmaster, because it's way easier to do that.
Yeah, this is the iteration part. It's hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And trying to push things forward is always very difficult, and not a lot of people want to do that. The big bold, let's say, move we made, and it was because like Rovio was very much interested by innovation and wanted to create something very unique and huge, was to accept this extra difficulty, because eventually it fit better with the bird on the whole audience. There was other prototypes which were different, with less skills and much more random. And even eventually I can show you some quick video of them and explain to you why in the end we came with that gameplay. And in terms of difficulty, going back to your initial questions, we are iterating a lot of the control, and there is like other version going on. And there is some kind of course, the balance here is very complex to find. But the way we approach it is, we believe like the game is going to be so popular, it's going to attract various audience. It's a game for the family, so basically there's going to be people of my age, I would say middle-aged people, but people.
Yeah, we're not getting any younger than, unfortunately. So
yeah, that's all right. And the truth is, I think as I grow older, my dexterity is getting lower, so I appreciate a lot more games that are like assisted and like helping me perform. And the older you get, the more true this become. But when you are a little bit younger, in your 20s, 80s, you appreciate a little bit of skills. It's much more interesting because you feel in control of your destiny. And after some point, when you are old, I think you just want to be rewarded for your time and attention. You don't want to be tested. Life is testing you way enough. You just want to be rewarded for your time.
I mean, look, I think the more complexity or like the harder it gets, we saw it with We Are Warriors, and it was hard from the beginning, and the game made pretty much like a lot of money and was a big success as well. So I can understand like if this is going to be hard and it's going to attract a slightly different audience, but that doesn't mean it's going to
It's
suck.
easy to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the things we can say about like as well, like when we approach this from an audience perspective is, we still have at the end of the day, we still have very much in focus that, we want this game to be highly successful with people that play the genre, right? So that tends to lean, when you actually look over time, it's actually funny if you look at like Monopoly Go or even Coin Master, they started off with a very young audience, very broad audience. Over time, the audience starts to skew much more female and older. And so, we have very much in mind that core audience, that core spending audience is important that this game really satisfies. So when we look at, market testing, et cetera, when we do user testing, research, et cetera, we make sure that audience is basically ticking the boxes of like, yeah, this makes sense. I like this, or I don't like that, getting that feedback and then iterating on that. But the beauty of our brand and kind of the design approach that Stan's taking is that we're also now widening the audience. So we're widening that funnel. And so like, especially if we can crack the social side of this game, which is, something that Sam talks a lot about like what made, for example, Monopoly Go extremely successful, maybe what made Coin Master successful back in the day is that really that social experience. And by widening the funnel, the way we look at it is like, if you're able to bring in all sorts of different age groups and demographics into the game at the top of the funnel, and you get a certain level of engagement, even if those are not high spenders, if there's a real great social loop and they actually then bring in other family members or friends or whatever, then that's a great acquisition way to like bring in some of those high value players versus only buying them through UA. So we see that with Angry Birds 2, our flagship game, right? Where at the top of the funnel, we have very, very young audiences. When you look at who's retaining long term and who's spending a lot of money, it's people 50 plus. A bunch of those came in through UA, but a lot of them also came in from word of mouth from like potentially younger people that, said, hey, like check out this game I'm playing.
Yeah, you put their collectible album, Facebook groups, and then you're fine. Then you're trading, and then see you next time. Okay. No, that's very important. I mean, that's what Monopoly Go did really well, I guess. So, okay.
And that's why the collectible albums are pretty much in every single casual game from that point on.
I mean,
even in mid-core these days, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a lot of sense.
Anyway, by the way, Stan, if you want to share screen, I guess this is the time.
Yeah,
for the
you are going to see some things that nobody in the world besides the Rovio team has ever seen. Most of the time, companies are very protective about that, but it's let's say there was a lot of effort put into it, and it's very fun to watch. Some of the prototypes you're going to see are very ugly and they are very bad, but
functionality is what matters, man.
Exactly, yeah. It doesn't matter, yeah.
Actually, let me give a little bit of context here as well, because I think it's important so you guys understand sort of our perspective, Rovio perspective going into this, which is, when we spoke to Stan and the team, it was very important for us that whatever experience we built would feel Angry Birds, right? So like, if we took Monopoly Go and reskinned it with Angry Birds, that would not feel like just having a little bird go around the board, etc.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't feel authentic, and it would just look like a gimmick. Right.
Yeah, there's already a Coin Master reskin of Monopoly. The Coin Master Adventure.
So, like, at the point was with Stan is like, well, one of the things that we did was really interesting is we actually sat down, with like myself and Timo, and then Ben from it remotely. We had a workshop in Paris where they explained everything they knew about the genre to us, and we tried to really explain to them what for us it meant to be authentically Angry Birds, and that gave them a bunch of different things to like play around with. And one of the big eye-opening things for me was because of their expertise, they were like saying, hey, if you really want to do this genre well, you don't have to do it slot machine or board game, whatever. Like the cool thing about this genre, what makes it a genre is the meta layer, but the core is actually can be very unique and it can be very like very highly innovative. So that's kind of where we came to this stage where Stan and the team played around with all sorts of crazy ideas.
Yeah, because you look at the Carnival Tycoon and Top Tycoon, and suddenly it's like, oh, that's very different
4X.
onboarding.
That's
Yeah,
4X
very different.
thinking.
Yeah, which is great. But that's exactly how you can grow this quite successfully and heavily. That's what we see with these two games anyway. I mean,
okay. So what do we have here?
It's already from the thumbnails, man. Like,
Let's go. I need to lower the
yeah, a little bit.
I need to lower the sound. So this one was one of the very early prototype. As you can see, we are not using the birds. We were using mice and cats for one good reason, is because all these prototypes were tested in UA. And when you work with a brand like Angry Birds, you want to be very protective about the IP. So we didn't want to put, let's say, in the open content that was not up to the level of what Angry Birds should be. When we do this prototype, it's maybe 1 or 2 weeks of work every time. And there was no way we are going to involve the birds into our test.
Also, because then you use Angry Birds, and then suddenly you have very misleading data anyway, right? It's like it's.
Yeah. We want to use we want to test with the IP once we are confident in the core concept.
Okay, nice. But
so this one was kind of a Mario Party slingshot system.
So it's slinging on the actual board.
Slinging on the actual board, yeah,
exactly. And it was interesting, but at that time we felt it was a bit derivative. So we continued to iterate on that, but it was not retained. Another crazy concept we had was this one. So I cut the music because it's very loud. It was just like some kind of Tetris using the blocks, using the slingshot. And basically, if you do a combo, it would, earn you coins on quick. There was something important for us in the brand, is actually the blocks. A lot of game in the Angry Birds universe kind of neglected this aspect. The birds are very important to the brand. They create a connection with the audience in terms of emotion, relativity. You like the birds, but the reality is like in Angry Birds 1 or 2, the core gameplay is based on your interaction with blocks. So for us, it was super important to be able to provide these physics blocks into the system. So all the idea we had iterated around the concept of slingshot, bird, of course,
obviously,
and the blocks.
Yeah, the pigs. Your hero is only as good as your villain.
Yeah. This one was like the original prototype for the runner, so you can see the level of quality we had in 2 weeks. There is some common element, and what we did basically is I will show you another one, and we tested API.
Thank you.
Yeah, this one might seem familiar, right, to another game out there that's doing reasonably well.
Yeah.
And we tried that, and then we iterated. Basically, every 2 weeks we improved the concept, and we added a new ID. One of the new ID was this one. Basically, there was like a big tower, and you were starting to destroy it, and there was something a little bit off with that. I will get to that later, but most of the time, Angry Bird in 3D doesn't work very well. The original game was in 2D, and for good reason. It works very well because you have anticipation of your trajectory. But when the camera is aligned on this orientation, you lose all the cascading effect and most of what makes Angry Birds actually great. So to my personal point of view, and I'm totally okay if anyone disagrees, but I feel like Angry Bird in 3D up until now maybe was not as great as it could be. I will show you something else. I think this one was like fake. Oh, sorry.
I love the AI, man.
Yeah, this one was actually when we did CPI test, we benchmark against a slot machine visual.
Okay.
Just to
actual
understand.
Slot machine.
Yeah.
Well, above or below.
I mean, if you were above this, like, then you wouldn't be having a job.
We wouldn't be speaking here.
Exactly. But it's part, and actually IA was very interesting for that because we were not going to build, our own slot machine video game. So it was very fast. And of course, we beat this video. Otherwise, we will have make a slot machine.
Just a pause here because people don't really realize like this is very powerful move. So if you're actually benchmarking in a good way or you are going in a very wrong direction. Like putting this into that as a control group is a very smart thing to do.
Yeah. We also, so this is a, sorry about the music.
I swear to God, when I'm gonna go to sleep, this music is gonna be in my head for sure.
That means we should be using it in UA creative because that's like radio ads. You remember it forever.
Nice.
We keep pushing all this one.
So you're actually pushing more prototypes simultaneously?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. So like few ideas are basically still surviving and being pushed forward to next stage.
And sometimes new idea arise. So we had this idea of a very simple spinner-like.
Mm-hmm. It's quite creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you have the cards there, which didn't help the CPI most probably.
Yeah, actually, it was boring. It was very boring.
And one thing, important message to explain is like we were not only looking at CPI, right? So the other thing we were doing is on the internal side is Stan and the team would provide us on the Rovio side builds that had multiple prototypes, and then like a survey for us to actually go and say like how much fun did you have, how much did it feel like Angry Birds, et cetera, et cetera. So like it was a way for them to get feedback from Rovio, so that like as a stakeholder that they knew that what they were doing was going in the right direction or not. So we were kind of had two angles, right? There was the marketability angle, but then there was like the how authentic is this to what Rovio is looking for angle.
Also, and then when you were kind of testing these prototypes, marketability one thing, and then were you just collecting also like the build data, like the playtime and all the different stuff, or not really? Or the game side was only for like Rovio internal part, and then the marketability was for like this. Okay.
It was just internally, but we also kind of, let's say, evaluate the team happiness with the prototype. It's very important to be honest. Like when something doesn't work, especially when you are doing so much prototype, the team has to be very honest. Like, wow, this one is boring. This one doesn't work. This one. Even if the guy has spent a lot of energy on the prototype, we always cultivate this kind of, like a sincere truth. There is no need to protect bad ideas. The goal is to protect the game on the long terms, and people need to be absolutely honest about that. When they do a prototype and the prototype is not good, it doesn't mean the guy is not good. It just means like the idea we are pursuing is not as good as we wish. But we encourage like the fact that the people on the prototype are separated. We don't judge people based on that, and the same person can make like the best prototype and the worst, but it's okay as long as people are in agreement with that.
This is like one of the hardest things about game design. You need to be able to kill your baby. That's the first thing, and it's an idea. It's not you.
Yeah,
everybody has ideas.
Sure, but it's very hard to do that, like killing.
Mostly.
Yeah, exactly, because you're very much attached to whatever you are building, and they're like, oh, it doesn't work. Oh no! Well, the worst case scenario is it's not bad, but it's not great either. It's somewhere in the middle, and it's like, oh, like what to do now? And that's where you should. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's okay. That's the worst. That's the worst answer. What are the KPIs? I mean, they're okay.
And after sometimes we ended up with like only two prototypes that we really liked, and I will show you like the two we kept. One was called Runner, the other one was called Jumper, and this is the Jumper gameplay. Oh, sorry, just let me keep
fine.
the
New song, yeah. But this is already Rovio style, or like
this one was one that was actually going like from our side was getting quite positive feedback.
Okay.
So it was starting to look like this could be an option as well.
No, for internal, for Rovio.
It's all internal, Felix.
Well, now I'm talking about internal feedback.
Didn't see the light of the day until now.
Yeah. So this one was quite cool actually. The rhythm was fast. It was interesting because we could have like maybe 4-second type of run, but there was one like maybe there was two big issue. One of them was it becomes very repetitive after sometimes, and when we build a game, we want to make sure like people want to play that for 10 years. Not only you want your players to be able to play it for 10 years, but you also want your team to be entertained by the idea of working on this game for 10 years. And most of the time, both correlate. If your game is like after 1 or 2 hours, it becomes boring. Maybe you're going to have a good day 1, but your day 30, of course, is going to be impacted by that a lot.
Even day 7.
Yeah, of course.
That's the genius of like match 3 games, right? Like you can play a match 3 game for years and years and years. It's just the core is constantly every time you play a new level, it feels like you're playing again from zero. So it's amazing.
And then there was
that.
Sorry, Luke.
No, I was just saying that getting that, like when you look at a core game design, it's so important that every time you play, it feels like you're almost playing fresh again.
Let's see the runner then, and I guess yes, I guess that's what
This is
we
basically-
Quite close to what you guys are seeing now. And as Stan said, like he hasn't shown you what they've most recently built, which is really cool because it has all sorts of like cool new features. Like I don't know, I don't want to give too many spoilers there, but
okay.
You can grab like a helium balloon and float with it, and you have carts that you drive around and slides and tubes and all sorts of cool things as well.
Yeah, by the way, Stan, let's say kicker question. Do you know a game, Burrito Bison, maybe?
Yes, of course. Actually, you are putting your finger on something which is absolutely essential to
Yeah, I
the
mean, we
this
were
game.
discussing like,
Because
this looks exactly like
I'm like a
we've seen
big
the
Burrito Bison
inspiration.
fan, and
So
like when I
here
when I
you're
saw
going to
this, like
see, like,
immediately.
The absolute beauty of what we are doing, because in reality, we are not doing a runner. We are doing a slingshot Burrito Bison type of game. In terms of visual, it looks as appealing as a runner, but we have
Exactly,
like an unfair advantage. For this type of game to be successful, we need short session. We don't want people playing 45 minutes without ever losing or ever, having to bet again. But the slingshot is incredible because in your mind, it has a limited amount of power. So just like Nanaka Crash, Burrito Bison, all these old games, instinctively that your run is not going to be endless. And that it's going to stop when you reach the ground and it's going to be over and you have to start again. The most incredible aspect of this game is the fact we were managed to combine what looks like to be a runner with the identity of the brand, which is slingshot, physique, blocks, and make it match with the meta of a log battle. And most of the time, people will feel like, Subway Surfer, stuff like this. But
that was my first guess. Like, oh, wait a second, it looks like Subway Surfers, but only on the first side.
Yeah, only on the first side. And it plays a little bit like that. And we have also, like iteration of the control where it's lane-based. Lane-based is very interesting also. It's more reactive, easier to control. We are doing some A/B tests because we feel we are just lacking like the physical aspect you had in Angry Bird because it's very rooted into the brand, like the way the bird behave in the original game. It's physics-based. So when you move it the way you want, it's actually physics-based. When it's lane-based, it's more like Subway Surfer. It's a little bit different, but both are very interesting, and we are still doing iteration of on the two concepts, and we will see in the end which one is retained. But your point is very valid and a very good observation, because basically it was the reference for the guy who did the prototype was Burrito Bison.
Because
so
Burrito
look, I was
Bison
playing for 30 minutes, basically we're recording, and it's 49 already, but my phone is cooked pretty much. So
Yeah.
I can make a breakfast on it right now.
It's the beauty of prototypes. And actually, Mate, one of the things that it's funny because this is what thing that we love about when we've been playing a lot with OBB's product here. One of the things that we love on the Rovio side is in the core gameplay itself, the flow state you can get into, right? Where you just want to keep going and you're like, and then that means energy starts to become really interesting, right? Because you're like, oh, I want to keep going and I'm out of energy, right? But then the other aspect that I think was interesting is that you said, like, we didn't notice that you were playing because, you were participating in the podcast,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And that is, in casual gaming, that's the holy grail, right?
Exactly.
Can you play as a second screen experience, and do that in your daily routine, like whether you're on the bus, whether you're watching Netflix, whether you're in the queue for the supermarket or whatever, like that's really and it has a little bit of skill base, right? And the fact that you can do second screen and it's still somewhat skill based is, I think it's something really cool that Stan and the team have built there.
No, 100%.
I think I would say the one challenge that we're still trying to figure out is, at the end of the day, these games live and die. This genre lives and die by the meta. So if our core is so good, we're a little bit worried about, like, can we make people get as hooked onto the meta as the core is? Because normally it's the opposite, right? Normally in these games where people really get into it, it's because of the meta. like the core is kind of like whatever. But in this case, the core is just fantastic.
Yeah, well, I worked on one game you previously mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast, which is close to one big IP, and that the core was really, really entertaining. I was playing it all the time, so I was really paying attention to it afterwards. But I think like it works really well, and now it's global launched and it's kind of growing quite nicely. So I mean, this is kind of an advantage. I know. Yeah, I've been working with few of these before, and on the UA side, oh my god! So it's really hard. Oh, that was gonna be a really interesting challenge for you and the team at Rovio, also at some point when you go to soft launch. But before we go there, my main question about the marketability test is like, how did you ended up with actual this product? Like, what was the actual KPI that you did, like the lowest CPI, or like what were you looking for basically with this prototype that is actually winning now or won? Which
Stan,
one?
you
Like,
wanna cover that?
yeah.
So like on our end, there's a bunch of things that we were doing. You guys are looking at burrito bites in here.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
so
In the meantime,
so when we're in early phases of a game, we have a series of processes that we go through. One of them is obviously doing a market analysis. Does it make sense? We actually do some market research, and we try to understand the audience very well that we're building for. But then we go into the actual tests. And so then we bifurcate in two types of tests. We have the early marketability, call it, CPI test.
Yeah,
we actually had a
whatever,
conversation whether we want to do just creative testing or actually have builds. Our feeling nowadays, it's much better to have some sort of build, even if it's not.
So I told my boss I made a playable ad with Playable Maker. And he said to me, "What language did you code it in?" And I said, "I don't know. With Playable Maker, all you do is drag, drop, click, and it does it all for you." So he said, "What language did you make it in?" I went, "I don't know. English?" At the end of the day, as long as Playable Maker does it all for you, why do you care? It's just like magic.
Playable,
Yes.
but
Yes.
like just have the install
Yes.
so you can actually get a proper CPI. Like as much as I love Geek Lab, shout out to Jesse and the team. Like and the and other tools in the past.
It's just not the real CPI. It's not the real CPI.
Yeah, you're doing
Exactly.
CPM campaigns, right? You're doing impression based, click based campaigns, which are optimizing to click. And so then when you're trying to create your CPI estimate, it's not relevant, right? Or it's the only thing I would say in favor of those types of tests. They're cheap and easy to do, and it works in terms of not trying to get a CPI read, but just trying to compare, right? If you want to get
which way to go, pretty much.
Yeah, if you're if you have very, very different routes that you're thinking about, those tests can work well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I've always been in favor of, at least on Android, on iOS it's a little bit harder, but at least on Android, get even if it's just a survey in the build,
Exactly.
but, and just a thank you message, like, hey, thank you, this is just a concept, give us some feedback, but get an actual install read. That's one angle. So yes, looking for CPI. The other thing we do is play test, right? So we actually, whether it's Playtest Cloud, et cetera, we get the right types of users in to test the prototypes and give us actual feedback. We don't do that when we have lots of different prototypes. We don't do that when we're starting to narrow down a little bit more. But once we have some more clear focus areas is when we start running some tests. So I don't know, Stan, if there's anything you guys want to talk about some of the tests you guys ran with support of Rovio there, but.
For us, I mean, on top of everything you said, for us, just from a gameplay perspective, because we are providing something new to the market, we wanted to make sure people will get into the funnel. Basically, people could react positively or negatively to the game, and there was two stuff very important for us. One, of course, is to get the fan on board. For us, I mean, I know it sounds very classical, but it's a reality. We started to get in touch with the top influential Angry Birds player in the world. We have a secret Discord where we talk to each other, and we submit them a lot of the content actually, and we get feedback and we try to improve when they are not satisfied, because this brand is so popular. There is a very, let's say, very, very dedicated part of the fan base that has a lot to say on the way the game should be made.
Yeah,
So-
and actually, one thing about
Yeah. And actually, the guys I talk to, they don't know it's me. So I created a fake character, which is called like the mystery bird.
Whoops.
and they're probably watching this, by the way, right
Yeah,
now.
I don't know if they're watching this, but I will send them to them because I've been talking to them for maybe
Nice.
6 months or 7 months now.
But building with an IP, this is an important topic because building with an IP is not like building without an IP or bringing a new IP into the thing. You have an audience out there that can be very passionate about what you do. And the reality is with Angry Birds, there is a core fan group out there, some of them very influential on social and on Reddit and Discord, etc. They basically hate anything we do that is non-premium. So they mostly hate free to play.
Of course.
They don't like anything that's not like Slingshot classic Angry Birds. So when we do, match 3 Angry Birds, normally they're not, let's call them, very enthusiastic about what we're doing, right? And obviously we have a business to run. But
Exactly. Yeah.
this is exactly why Ben and Stan decided to go down that route. Like, yes, I'm CMO, but like it's not, no credit to me. This was really Ben and Stan. It was like Ben again, is our guy who is kind of in charge of all the creative around Angry Birds as an IP. He's the one that's most in touch with these folks. And, and he knew that like, if we didn't get them on board, they could easily blow up this opportunity, right? Because like, let's be honest, like Luck Battle is borderline casino and it's, this could have gone really, really wrong.
It is, yeah.
But I think what Stan and Ben did was pick the right people to talk to first. People that we knew that were not going to be pure toxic, that people that were going to, at least you could actually have a conversation with. Because there are some people that, no matter what you do, they're going to hate on it. But there are those people kind of in the middle that, depending where things go, they can be positive or they can be destructive. And the important thing was that Stan and the team were able to demonstrate to them that they got it, that they understood the IP, that they understood what they cared about, and explained how they were approaching the design in a way that was embracing the IP. To the extent of, for example, including a character called Ruby, who is actually a fan-created character, who now is the system.
Yeah, that's clever. That's clever.
Mm.
But Stan, anything you want to mention about those conversations? I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah,
That's really good.
they were actually very valuable because sometimes your biggest hater are actually the people who care the most about your product. So it's very important to lend an ear and try to understand what's going on. And actually, the initial dynamic was a little bit aggressive, of course, like they were saying like, wow, what are you trying to do? But then after a while, no, we are like almost best friends. They are very positive about everything we do. And they provide like very valuable, like feedbacks that we take in account. We change the design of the characters a little bit based on what they ask, and we ask them for like nostalgia is very important, like to make a successful game. And basically, like these guys, they know the brand
Through all the
better
corners
than
of them.
anyone else. So they gave us like these little ideas of little characters or little special moments that they want to live again within the game. So in terms of branding, what we want to do is to create love letters to the birds. The birds were absolutely, like a big part of the history of mobile game. My kids were playing, like on their iPad, the first Angry Bird every day. And I mean, a lot of us have like a personal connection to the brand. I think this has to be respected. And if we manage to make that alive into the game, then we have like an incredible product for the brand. And that's why we are fighting so hard to include all these little ideas and nostalgia point in the new prototype. I mean, it's not a prototype anymore, but on the real project, there is even more, like let's say, link between the past of the brand on the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's great because you basically prepared the ground for you releasing the new game and just got in touch with the most influential guys just to be kind of on the safe side. And then, as you said, like if they start to hate this, then you can just close and then move on, which is not an ideal situation. Okay, very good. So, but then the big question is, we are now, it's February basically, and you said also it's not in soft launch. So when is that gonna happen? When?
So this is where we come in and and put pressure on Stan and the team. No, like look, to be honest, like we would like to get it out as soon as we can, but as Stan mentioned earlier, everything that you've seen is sort of smoke and mirrors, built off another game's engine and infrastructure, and so they've had to sort of build everything in the ground up again for the sustainability of hopefully this game being a 10, 15, 20-year game.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you. Thank you very much for coming to this episode. It's brought to you by our sponsors, PVX Partners, the simplest and most effective credit line for marketing. If you're scaling your business and need funding, here's the deal. With PVX Partners, you can grow your game easily and your business. There's no equity dilution. You can repay as you get paid, and it's flexible, fast, and fully tailored to your growth. So you can secure funding in 30 days and get a term sheet in just 24 hours. Don't you wait. Take control of your UA budget without giving away a piece of your company. Visit pvxpartners.com and see how they can help you grow your game faster and stronger. Don't wait. Go to pvxpartners.com.
That being said, it's not like they're just doing that and that's it. Like we're still running tests, we're still iterating on things, etc. But I don't know, Stan. Like maybe summertime, hopefully.
Yes.
Which year?
Yes, let's say there will be the new version of the game, which is going to be available probably, under the radar for sometimes around summer. But our target, to have like a finalized product which is able to scale is more around the same time as the new movie is going to be released. So by the end of the year, it's not. I mean, the movie is not tie-in, of course, to the game.
It always helps, man. It always helps. I mean.
Exactly. It's always better for everyone to be, to have a media hotspot where everyone is talking about the brand on the game. So this is what we're targeting. But this game.
Wait. But if the movie is live, or the movie is coming up.
Movie is Christmas, literally December 23rd.
But the game needs to be worldwide then, not soft launch, because then you get nothing from the movie.
Soft launch, I guess, again, Stan, I don't know how you guys think about this, but we obviously want to run tests before that, but again, it depends on what stage the actual game is in and so forth.
Okay.
So I don't know, Stan, anything you want to mention about that, or?
Well, the movie's release date is actually my birthday, so it's a good coincidence.
Yeah. So
that's all I can say. But the reality is this game builds over time. Right now we are like building a game at high speed because
it's incredible.
We have done already a lot of tests, so we know what we're doing. We have already numbers, retention, funnels, everything. So we know we are in the good. So the question is, how high can we go with the final product? And then there is another question: is this luck battle on social game don't behave the same at low scale and high scale? This was particularly true for Monopoly Go, and at low scale, the KPIs were actually just a fraction of the game when it was like a worldwide hit. And there is one big reason for that is when you play with someone your KPIs are just like 3-5 times better. We even in GoGo Magnet, which has like a small volume, we look at the cohort of people who retain the most, and people who are playing with someone they knew, they had like 35% D30. So I mean, basically, you want to have this chunk of player to be as big as possible, and you have to saturate a little bit your market in order to get there. And to do that, you need like a very strong social core into the game, and this is what we are also building. Nobody have seen what we are going to do on that, but
that's good.
It's going to be a very important aspect to the success of the game.
So again, soft launch when? Summer, kind of, or like.
After summer, I guess.
After summer, I guess. Okay.
There will be some quick tests, but under the radar, and then I think you. But I mean, the test you actually pick up was supposed to be absolutely under the radar. It was on dark matter account.
Well, look, 2.5 steps ahead of the industry. I mean, Stan, you can't really hide stuff from us. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, dark matter. It's not. I think we need to rebrand dark matter now as well.
No, we were just having fun. Like, oh, dark matter. Like, why is it there? Like. Of course, because it should be undercover, man. Like, who would just kind of try to find dark matter?
a lot of the core Angry Birds fans know Dark Matter now for years. So like it's
Yeah.
it's kind of defeating its own purpose by this stage, whatever.
No, but
Like,
I understand.
One of the things that's also interesting is how we are thinking about, being a little bit leaner as a business as well when we think about testing. Historically, when you feel like you have a build that's good enough for soft launch, you just kind of you run with it, and you just constantly try different UA and you see what you can do there. But we're also trying to be a little bit more, they try to operate more like a startup, and really think about like what are we actually trying to prove. And so like what's the budget needed, and like what KPIs are we looking for? Is it a day 7 ROAS? Is it like day 7 conversion and ARPU? And how many users do we need? Like, do we really need to kind of have that as an always turned on faucet versus like, can we just, be very bespoke about what we're actually going for? Yeah. So like soft launch as a concept is something that we're also thinking internally about, like, what does it even mean nowadays to really do soft launch? And then when you have a game that you can actually get real ROAS from, like you believe that you can get ROI, then it's, is that even soft launch? Is that just low scale? And then you do a scaling test in a specific market, et cetera. So, we haven't fully defined exactly how we're going to tackle this, but we are trying to rethink a little bit what that means.
Yeah. I mean, like the soft launch means very different things for different companies. I mean, for you especially, it's going to be very different than for any other gaming company. Because it's Angry Birds and Rovio, so I mean, you're going to have some
organic
fan base, and then like skewed numbers. But even before going global and the movie is released, you still need to have some kind of KPIs on a different scale just to be able to see what you can expect. And even if you don't do it in the US or in the other market, but I guess like the Monopoly Go strategy would be very much in place, because then you need to conquer one country to see what kind of snowball effect you can get from basically having everybody in the country, and then like they're playing with their friends, because then you can understand like what is the difference between players playing with friends and what's the KPIs and how much improvement it can get, which you can then afterwards kind of take into the global launch strategy. So
it's a great point. I mean, we traditionally will do like a Philippines or whatever just for tech test. Is it broken? Is it not broken? And then we run normally a different country. And then when we're looking at ROAS, there's always the great debate of should we just go to the US directly? And then at that stage, can you even call it a soft launch because you're already in the market? But you do bring up a great point about what Stan was saying earlier about how important the social loops are, and you need to get to a certain level of scale in a specific region to really get the KPI read on that. So something we'll definitely look at when we plan the next steps for this project. But we'll be sure to make details of you guys.
Yeah, I think we will wrap it up very, very soon. But still, I mean, Felix had like a few questions about ad revenue, but honestly, I don't see this game having ad placements.
There goes Felix with ad revenue.
Yeah, this is a game that this is good. The genre is IAP genre. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
It's an IAP genre, and that's how we're approaching it. And I think generally speaking, like Rovio games have material ad revenue, but we're still an IAP based free to play business. So while the ad revenue is material, IAP is really what drives our business. And then on top of that, what we're seeing is a bit of a trend where especially the top games are not having ads in their games. Now, there's some that are, like I think you guys mentioned, I think is it Coin Master secretly doing it in certain markets or whatever. So for certain markets, it might make sense, the Indias of the world. But what I think in the like US and other markets like that, at the end of the day, like what we really want to do is we want to protect the users that we get, right? And so there's a little bit something ironic about, hey, spending a ton of money on acquiring users, finding these really high valuable users, and then start showing them games of our competitors, right? So it's a little bit, and the reality is like we know that ads in other games work well from a user acquisition standpoint, meaning people react and go to new games. It's something internally from a Rovio perspective where we're actually thinking strategically about what does our future look like in that? Because again, we have a material ad revenue business, but at the same time, retention is more the name of the game going forward. And so it's something we're really figuring out at the moment. But at the end of the day, for this game specifically, this genre, we're going to live and die by IAP. If our IAP doesn't work, ad revenue, like whatever.
Yeah, it's most probably just going to add like 10-15% on top of it, on top of the IAP revenue. And yeah, that's it. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
just let me
Yeah.
just kind of frame it, I guess, for the finish here. Like what we're actually looking at and what's the genre. So, of course, we have the Monopoly Go Coin Master sitting on the blog here, doing
the genre. I mean, all those two games right there.
Yeah, all those two. That's the kicker here. That all those two games is not really all those two games, because we have the entrance as we talk about here. Because we have the, let's say, the second iteration, which is stuff like Animals and Coins, Fish of Fortune, My Home World, and like these coin looter games. Where's the car one? Yeah, here it is. Where again, we already got this kind of like additional different core on the onboarding and the ads to kind of sync that up. And then we have the high LTV engine meta, which is the Coin Master / Monopoly Go one. And then we have these, again, even more aggressive kind of entrants, such as Top Tycoon
and
Carnival Tycoon, and the last one isn't even here, which is the Sunday City from Kefir, which literally has like GTA Y City in the front, and then in the back end is basically Coin Master meta also, and they are kind of, I guess, quite scaled now, something like
but if you look at Top Tycoon, it's
it's nowhere close,
so it's
nowhere close.
fixed
Yeah,
more.
this idea didn't
this is
really,
definitely nice try, but
you know. But again, I'm guessing that like this kind of a pack will be the main thing to kind of break through, and then the question is if it can like attack the top 3, which is ending with dice games.
That's the $1 billion question. Are you? I mean, obviously you're aiming to get to that like first 2 spots, but I mean, realistically, what's the assumption?
We'll be happy if we hit dice streams, but our ambition is very clearly to be up there with Monopoly and Go and Coin Master. It's how we think about things ambitiously at Rovio. We haven't had historically a game at that scale in the free-to-play side of things. Angry Birds 2 has been our biggest game, and it still is, and that's more the 100 million or so mark. So we have we have big ambitions. I know Stan has very big ambitions, but let's say
that's the spirit. That's the spirit.
Say dice streams would be a decent success, but we'd love to be much. We really focus on trying to be much bigger than that.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Anything you want to say?
Did anyone say web revenue? Oh yeah. This episode is brought to you by FastSpring, the no drama D2C partner that's been scaling with mobile publishers for over 20 years. They're fast growing, profitable, and seriously reliable, which is more than you can say about most vendors in this space. Anyway, whether you are launching a new web store, replacing your current D2C step, or adding a backup plan, FastSpring is here for you. Visit fastspring.gg to set up your web store today. Fastspring.gg. Hello, FastSpring. Thank you very much, guys, for sponsoring this episode.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Actually, it's I have one life goal right now. When I created the Asphalt franchise, now it's like the biggest racing franchise in the world. It's 1.7 billion install. So I got that going for me, but that's not enough. What I want to do is $1 billion games now. Okay. So my mind is 100% of the time dedicated to finding a way to make that happen. And that's why we actually, we are very happy to work with Rovio, because we are in a very unique situation. We have the expertise on Luck Battle. We know to make games that are like hugely successful, because we simply read, the market. I've been doing that for 25 years. It's just part of my life. And we have the biggest mobile IP which exists, which is family friendly, which is absolutely perfect, because we can attract older parents, and eventually they can play with their youngs if they want. Then we have the most efficient meta that exists today, which is the Luck Battle meta is absolutely perfect for a lot of reasons we have not discussed today, but there is a lot of good things about it. And then we have a runner visual, which has like the highest audience possible and the cheapest CPI. Everyone with lighting, in terms of advertising, they use this type of visual with the camera going forward and stuff like this.
Yeah, you add gates on top of this and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe we have gates in another prototype, you don't know. But basically, it's too exciting. We are in a very unique situation. So of course, nothing is guaranteed. It's up to us to make it work. But we are in a good, let's say, we have reason to be optimistic, and we just have to prove ourselves we are able to pull it off. But if with Rovio we pull this off, it's going to be a game changer, because it's going to create like a very interesting game for the next 10 years. And I will be like super happy to see one of my game, like getting above the $1 billion mark of revenue. And a small stuff, like on the number you were showing us, Sensor Tower doesn't account for direct to consumer revenue.
Yes, it doesn't.
So
You're right.
yeah, the reality is the market is actually way bigger for Monopoly.
For
and,
sure.
on
Monopoly Go has its Tycoon Club. We expect something like north of 20% plus, definitely flowing to that. Midcore friends have 50% already, so even more, as you say. Yeah, it's definitely there.
Yeah, we know, and that's also like the biggest part of the strategy and the revenue. Honestly, when I'm kind of looking at you and you talk about the game, and then the vibe is amazing, and we don't even know the numbers, and you know the numbers, and you're like, yeah, this is gonna be good. I could see it on your faces. So I'm really looking forward to actually like see the see it out and worldwide, and then we talk again. Because it's very exciting.
I have something I can tell you about that. The prototype is very early, so like we are not reading day 30 stuff like this. But there is one thing we are absolutely obsessed with, is the retry rate. When someone play one round, is he going to do another one? And basically, for a game to be successful, of course, you need the highest number of people who are actually retrying. And the question is, how fast people are retrying close to 100%. And for this game, it's actually quite impressive, better than most of the stuff I've ever seen. When you do a run, you absolutely want to do another run, but right from the start. So basically, your curve of funnel is very, very flat. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
there's the difficulty tinkering right there. Like that's the expertise.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to thank you guys for having us. Like on our end, we're very ambitious about this project. We're looking for people to come join this, hopefully, rocket ship.
Nice.
And especially on the game economy side, game systems design, things like that, which at the end of the day are fundamental to this genre. So if you've worked on Monopoly Go, if you worked on Coin Master, on Dice Dreams, or one of these games, like hit me up, hit Stan up. Hit anybody up at Rovio or at OBB.
Yeah.
We're looking to have you guys become a member of our rocket ship. So please do.
Perfect.
Sorry, your podcast is an ad.
Yeah. No. I wanted to ask, like, if you want to share something with the audience, which is exactly what you just did. Is perfect. And then we'll put, I guess, your contact details or any like links in the show notes so that everybody can reach out to you and then just build this.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys. Like, really, this was amazing, and I'm looking forward. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, guys.